wonderful supporters and ex-residents and recovering addicts and everybody else who's watching these videos and climbing online. Sorry, this video is extremely late this week. It's been on the top of my to-do list every single day, but having been away, back at the office on Monday and doing intensive ego state therapy and drama triangles, it has literally just slipped my mind. And yeah, I've now discovered that this is the last opportunity that I could do to get this video out before it's beyond too late. So yeah, please accept my apologies. We are going to get these videos out and we are going to continue on the path and the plan. And so yeah, just wanted to get that out there and start with this week's topic, which is actually understanding emotional maturity. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the emotional immaturity of those in active addiction. This is really helping to let the supporters understand why their loved one in addiction seems to be really emotionally immature or stunted, or has the emotions of a 13, 14-year-old, why it's so difficult to have logical, rational conversations sometimes, why there are constantly tantrums and outbursts and running away and manipulations and guilt tripping and all of those things we expect from a little teenager, to be honest. No disrespect to the addicts, but you'll all understand what I mean when I'm talking to you guys. And so I thought I'm going to talk a little bit into that. I know we're doing ego states at the center, and we will go through ego states and victim triangles in a lot more detail over the next 2 weeks. But first, I think it's just important that we understand the emotional state of, one, the person in active addiction, and two, how long it takes us to build emotional maturity once we get into recovery. So yeah, fast forward to recovery. We get into treatment. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we feel. We don't know what happiness is like. We don't know what peace is like. We certainly know conflict and chaos. We certainly know deceit and paranoia. We certainly know a little bit of shame and guilt. But we don't understand normal human emotion. We don't understand what depression is or exhaustion is. We don't understand what irritation or agitation is. We don't understand that there are small emotions that have no real value or bearing in our life. Every little emotion is a crisis and a cry for help and something that we want to run away from. And slowly but surely, through treatment and through therapy and through group work and through watching other people and through engaging in relationships and different dynamics within the communities, we start to get a little bit better at living with emotions. We start to get a small glimpse that our emotions don't necessarily dictate or determine the outcomes of our life. And yeah, most people do 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 months of treatment. And, you know, they climb out of rehab and they get home and these new emotions come flooding back and we feel lost and insecure and out of place, and the anxiety goes through the roof and the obsessiveness in our heads and the feeling of loneliness goes through our roof, and bitterness and resentments and all of these emotions come flooding in. And I think for supporters, it's good to understand that while we're in recovery and while we're clean for 12 months, we have years to go before we catch up with our emotional maturity. We have to go through difficult life experiences so that we can develop the maturity through that experience. We have to feel rejection in order to experience how to handle that healthily. We have to rejection from an interview or a job. We have to feel out of touch and uncomfortable in order to go through that and realize that there's stuff that comes after the feeling, that realizes that feeling isn't the be all and end all of life, and realizing that often external stuff don't fix the internal feelings. You know, people love going to gym. They get agitated, stressed, exhausted, and so they go and they gym. And this gymming is another thing to manage the emotions and make me feel better and pump the endorphins. And so, yeah, that's how subtly gym becomes another sort of process addiction, because we're using an external thing to make ourselves feel internally better. And so, yeah, if you allow yourself to do years of recovery. And if you think about yourself in active addiction for 10 years, it's going to take 5 or 6 years of good recovery for you to get to a point where you've caught up and you're getting closer to your actual emotional age. So think about it. A year in treatment, you've probably grown in emotional maturity by 1 year. Maybe 2 years, so you've gone from being a 13-year-old emotional addict to a 15-year-old emotional recovering addict, and supporters don't understand the pressures and the stresses and the difficulties of actually functioning in life when I'm limited and incapacitated by my emotional immaturity. Yes, it's a fault of mine for getting into addiction. Yes, it's a fault of mine for maintaining that addiction for so long. But a consequence of that, which is not just easily fixed, is that I've got to spend years building my emotional capacity. I've got to spend years going through difficult situations and understanding what emotion is associated to what, how it plays out, what is the end result. I've got to spend years in realizing that the emotions that I'm experiencing doesn't dictate my reality. The emotion I felt 2 weeks ago, which I thought was the end of the world, I can't even remember what it was today. The emotions I'm feeling today is not going to be the emotions I'm feeling tomorrow. And so while we need to know and develop an ability to identify the emotion, an ability to know what's causing the emotion, and an ability to know if I need to respond or do something to this emotion, that's important. But what's more important is to understand that despite how I'm feeling, I've still got to function in a mature and responsible way. And that's where the recovering addict needs to start to step in. Fine, I'm not feeling very good, but my feelings can no longer justify my improper, immature behavior. I think just for the concept of this video and this lesson this week is just from a supporter side to comprehend you might have a 30-year-old loved one, but their emotional maturity is that of a 15-year-old. And it's going to take a good 5 years for them to catch up and probably be at the emotional maturity of a 25-year-old in order to kind of keep moving forward. I think for me, in my own recovery, I caught up 10, 11 years into recovery. I stopped one day and I thought, you know what, this is the first time that I'm actually feeling emotionally secure within myself, that I don't need all the external stuff to validate and understand my emotions, and that I can stand firmly in my own emotional evaluation of things. And that was a very important moment for me, but understand that took a decade. Of lots of life experiences and ups and downs and difficulties and relationships and different jobs and lost opportunities and everything that normal people experience in life, which we never experienced in active addiction. And so, part of our recovery, part of our lesson is we've got to catch up on the experiences of life that isn't being tainted anymore through substances and drugs and alcohol and tantrums and process addictions. So, thank you for listening. Sorry it was late. Looking forward to Thursday's meeting. And see you all online at 7 o'clock on Zoom.